Church exposure and kinship intensity around the world. A. Exposure to the medieval Western, blue, and Eastern, green, churches at the country level. B. The kinship intensity index for ethnolinguistic groups around the world. If you're going to ask the rise of the West question, said Henrich, an author of the paper, there's this big unmentioned thing called psychology that's got to be part of the story. About a decade ago, Henrich coined the acronym WEIRD, Western, educated, industrialized, rich and democratic, to describe the characteristics of cultures that embrace individualism. Comparing exposure to the Western Church with their kinship intensity index, which includes data on cousin marriage rates, polygyny, where a man takes multiple wives, co-residence of extended families, and other historical anthropological measures, the team identified a direct connection between the religious ban and the growth of independent monogamous marriages among non-relatives. According to the study, each additional 500 years under the Western Church is associated with a 91% further reduction in marriage rates between cousins. Meanwhile, in Iran, in Persia, Zoroastrianism was not only promoting cousin marriage but promoting marriage between siblings, Henrich said. Although Islam outlawed polygyny extending beyond 4 wives and the Eastern Orthodox Church adopted policies against incest, no institution came close to the strict, widespread policies of the Western Church. Those policies first altered family structures and then the psychologies of members. Henrich and his colleagues think that individuals adapt cognition, emotions, perceptions, thinking styles, and motivations to fit their social networks. Kin-based institutions reward conformity, tradition, nepotism, and obedience to authority, traits that help protect assets such as farms from outsiders. But once familial barriers crumble, the team predicted that individualistic traits like independence, creativity, cooperation, and fairness with strangers would increase. Although willingness to trust strangers, as opposed to family or neighbors, is associated with higher levels of innovation, greater national wealth, and faster economic growth, which factor causes which is not yet known. We're not saying that less intensive kin-based institutions are better. Far from it. There are trade-offs. Tight families, for example, come with inborn financial safety nets. Family first. How nepotism lowers investment at U.S. firms. Why does high nepotism lead to underinvestment? We try to answer this question by following the money. If nepotistic firms invest less than other firms, the resources that are not spent on new equipment and projects must go somewhere else. Our results clearly indicate that executives in nepotistic firms tend to pay key employees more than other companies do and approve higher payouts to their shareholders. Furthermore, we argue that non-family investors and job seekers should consider how widespread family ties are before buying shares of public firms or applying for jobs, as their interests are likely to be seriously compromised in favor of those of related shareholders and employees. From a macroeconomic perspective, the prevalence of nepotism in some economies might help explain why some countries systematically invest less than others.